I'm just a big sports fan, and sports is a great way to see the principles in action because sports is the last non-political field where talent rises to its own level. Now, when I was a kid, the coaches thought that results came from effort, from determination. So they wanted the feeling of desperation. I remember one of the Dallas Cowboys was caught smiling on the sidelines during a loss, and Tom Landry fined him for smiling during a loss, okay? So what was thought to be result producing was a feeling of determination and desperation that produced effort beyond what you would have put into it otherwise. Willpower, effort. So that's what they thought back then, okay? And then along came, in my opinion, I don't know if this is historically correct, but Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, okay? And they loved playing basketball. They loved it. And they, I mean, Larry Bird getting on a plane, and he said to the people behind him on his team, "Do you believe we get paid for doing this?" Now, what people noticed was they didn't have any desperation, they didn't have any grimness, they didn't stress and strain. They interviewed as well in losses as they did in wins. They smiled and joked around when they were on the bench. And all of a sudden, the sports world realized, wait a second, there's something in people, in enjoyment, in well-being, in impersonal, in perspective, in seeing the big picture that empowers them to do things that weren't done before. There's their level of play. They thought their level of play had to do with that. And all of a sudden, the coaches are saying, yeah, we're winning, but we're not having a good time. Honestly, they would say that. And I'm concerned. Okay. Then, the next realization was intensity. Intensity is nothing more than an undistracted mind, which allows mind to come into the picture more, the intelligence behind life to come into the picture more. So the teams would talk about, now we're all enjoying playing, but there's an intensity. And all they meant was a person's mind was free for instinct, for information, for insight. That's all they meant by that, intensity. Because I read Phil Jackson's book, and he had 2 paragraphs on intensity. I was impressed. I said, this guy understands. I'm going to ask him if he'll help us teach the principles. Phil Jackson, but I think he's a general manager now. He probably wouldn't want to do that, work with Michael.
He's with the Knicks now, I'm out.
I know, he's with the Knicks. but that was a higher realization about the true nature of results and performance. It didn't have to do with effort. And then once it had to do actually with enjoyment was a variable that you could check on, and that would, and then beyond enjoyment, there was people freeing their mind of distraction of the crowd, distraction of this, you know, what's the score? They don't even want you to look at the score, you know, that's my job, the coach would say, and people realized that freeing your mind was good for business. And now that was seen as a way to look towards results. You see? Now those 2 things in sports are highly respected. That's why the athletes, I mean, the level of performance and the learning curve of sports compared to, say, business is ridiculous. And the funny part of it is that the businessmen go to the game and say, oh man, this person's on the foul line and you can see that he's distracted. This person is grim and serious, don't they get it? You gotta be loose. And then they go to work and they're grim and serious, loose and distracted. So it's really...
Well, and it's interesting because they call it being professional, right? The idea is that being professional is being grim and serious and doing it anyways.
Yeah.
Whereas the amateur only does it when it's fun. Well, there's this, I don't know whether you'd call it a professional amateur or an amateur professional, but there is this understanding where you can see, oh, when I do what I do for the love of the game, great things come through me. And I understand the game well enough to know that I need to honor agreements. I need to, there are some basics that amateurs might not do.
Yeah.
But they're not to do with attitude.
Right.
They're simply recognizing, hey, this is part of the job. But it's that amateur spirit within the professional responsibilities that creates incredible high performance. And incredible high performance creates incredible results.